Okay, so today I want to do just briefly go through and look at the Iowa income tax withholding. Like I said, you don't have any test questions on it. You don't have any, there's nothing specific that you need to know about it. I just kind of want to introduce it to you. And actually, I'm kind of introducing it to me too, because I haven't looked at this since last year and it's changed. So it's new to all of us. And then I've got a practice quiz for chapter 4 that I want you guys to work on for a little bit. We'll look at the answers for that just to kind of review like we've done. I did put up a outline for chapter 4 as well, a study guide and outline. Did that yesterday, so that is under chapter 4 in Canvas. And then we'll start looking at chapter 5. So this is where we talk about FUTA and SUTA, federal unemployment and state unemployment tax. We'll kind of get our introduction to that. I'll probably use the slides for that because that kind of helps keep me on track. So let's start out talking about Iowa withholding. So Iowa I have a link in here to the Department of Revenue site. Now this is for 2025. They're looking into the future. Here, let's look at, we'll at least look at 2024. Actually, first, let's look at the W-4 form, because Iowa has its own W-4 form. And it's kind of interesting because remember, you've got we've got the child support, where, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, maybe some of you remember it, where employers have to submit to the state whether when there's a new employee, and they are checked against the child support registry. When an employee fills out the W-4 in Iowa, that's actually also part of doing that. So it has a double use for that requirement, as well as obtaining information for withholding purposes. So here's our Iowa W-4. Maybe some of you are familiar with it. Again, we've got our filing status up here, but it's only head of household, married, filing jointly, or some other filing status. Does your spouse also have earned income? Yes or no? And then all of our information questions here, identifying information. The first question here is exemption. If you do not expect to owe any Iowa income tax and have the right to a refund of all income tax withheld, you can write exempt here, and it's effective for that particular year. It would have to be filled out on an annual basis, just like the federal exemption requirements. So that's pretty much the same. So if you are not exempt, now they've got separate worksheets to complete, and we still have these allowances in Iowa. They're still using this concept of allowances. Where's maybe the allowance worksheet? Oh, here we go. So here's the allowance, all the information on how to fill out for allowances. If you're 64 years or younger, filing status is single, your total income is less than $5,000, you're claimed as a dependent, or filing status is single, total income is less than $9,000, not claimed as a dependent, filing status other than single, and your combined total income is $13,500 or less. So this is for determining whether you're exempt, whether you can claim that exempt status depending upon your age, 64 years or younger, 65 years or older. So that's just there to kind of help employees determine. Sorry, I know that's kind of hard to read. Why is it so small? Then the calculations of allowances, which then get transferred over to the first page here in the first line. So what makes a personal allowance in Iowa? So you can claim the following personal allowances: $40 for yourself, $80 if you're unmarried and eligible to claim head of household, $20 allowance if you're 65 or older, $20 allowance if you are blind. If you're married and your spouse does not work, you can claim the following allowances as well, another $40. So these are in dollar amounts, not in numbers, like they are on the old W-4 form at the federal level. Single or hold more than one job. To have the highest amount of tax withheld claim 0 on line 1. So you would add all of that up and enter it over here onto line 1. And then you have allowances for dependents as well, which, let's see, I guess they don't have line 3, they don't have line 2 here, the instructions. Claim $40 for each dependent you claim on your income tax return. So if you've got 3 kids, you claim $120 and list that there. But again, this is in dollars, not in just whole numbers like it is on at the federal. If you're going to itemize your deductions, so they've got allowances for itemized deductions, another worksheet for all of that. Your estimated federal itemized deductions. Iowa now uses itemized and standard deductions in the calculation of taxable income. That just started a couple of years ago. They didn't used to do that. They used to have their own itemized deductions and their own standard deduction. They don't do that anymore. Now they just use whatever the federal is used at the federal level. So this worksheet here, allowances for itemized deductions, that's gonna go on line 3. Adjustments to income. Let's see, estimate allowable adjustments to income for payments such as an IRA, KEO, or SEP. So these are adjustments, and it's the same definition as adjustments at the federal level. So, and I know most of you have not had income tax accounting yet, so you would know those, but Kathy would know what those adjustments are. Those adjustments would show up on a Schedule 1 on the 1040, the federal 1040. So you'd enter that, divide the amount by 15, and so you'd have an additional amount there. Allowances for child and dependent care, again, there's another worksheet for that listed here. It's dependent upon your income, how much that would be. Then again, you total all of that up, and then if you want an additional amount withheld, you can list just a flat dollar amount there on line 7. The employee signature, all of that stuff, employer information. Like I said, there's a second part to this. This is a centralized employee registry reporting form to be completed by the employer within 15 days of hire, and then this has to be sent off to the state. This notifies the state that an employee has been hired, and so they will check it against the child support database to see if child support then needs to be withheld from the employee's paychecks. So all of this stuff needs to be filled out by the employer, and then it's faxed. Gosh, they still have fax numbers. Faxed or mailed. They don't have an email, a place to email it, but and then instructions for that. So that's what the Iowa W-4 form looks like. Those 2 parts to it. Withholding tables. This is for 2024. Let's see. Formulas and tables. All right. So tables. Again, you're going to, and there are instructions here for all of this. So this, it says January 1st, 2025, even though I thought that I said 2024. 2024. There. And it goes right back to 2025. Well, isn't that lovely? Let's see. What am I missing? Well, that's kind of a bummer because it actually has changed and does change between, maybe it's here. Here we go. Let's try that. There we go. This will change in 2025 because, like I said, Iowa is in the midst of income tax changes. We are moving to a flat tax, so I think we've got 3 tax brackets now, and in 2025 we'll move to 2. Don't quote me on that because I don't know exactly. We started out with like 7 or 8, and then it's slowly being compressed, and then after I think 2026 we'll go down to 1 flat tax rate, so everybody will pay, which simplifies it. certainly. So the instructions, and I'm not going to go through all of this in detail, I just kind of want to show you how it works. So you can see Iowa, it's a little weird because it goes through this, they've got these formulas here that you have to follow. So step one is T1 equals G minus S, and then they define what G is and what S is. To gross taxable wages for the pay period, standard deduction for the pay period, and then you've got to look at what the standard deduction is for each pay period. So depending upon, so similar to that table that we just examined for the earlier W-4 at the federal level. So if you're going to subtract this amount, like if it's biweekly, you're going to subtract what, 564 or 561.54. I'm sorry, for biweekly, 561.54. So G, whatever the wages are, minus the standard deduction here. And it says, so for employees who do not file an updated W-4 using the 2024 W-4 form, use the standard deduction amount for total allowances less than $80 for the applicable pay period. So if you don't fill out a new one, you're going to have more. You're going to have more taxes withheld. So there's your standard deduction. And then so we get this equals T1, and then the second part, we're going to take T1 times R. What is R? So T1 was our result in the first step. R is our withholding rates, and these should look kind of familiar to you, very similar, right? But as you can see, there's only 3 because we've only got 3 tax rates for 2024. So depending upon what T1 is, then again, 83 cents plus whatever the rate is of the excess over, same concept. Then the result there, T3, is whatever that previous result was, minus W divided by P. What's W? What's P? So W, total allowance amount on the W-4 form, so whatever that came out to be, divided by P, the number of pay periods per year. And they give you the number of pay periods here. You guys all know this by heart now, though. You don't have to have that table. Again, for employees who do not have an updated W-4, use $40 as a total allowance amount. Then whatever that result is, we're going to take T3, which was that previous result, plus A. What is A? Any additional withholding that is requested per pay period. So if no additional withholding was requested, we don't do anything. Step 3 just is the same as step 4. And then that's your withholding. So it's a little complex in that I think this is the same concept as those worksheets at the federal level. Those worksheets that we went through, line 1A, line 1B, plus this, minus that, all of that. I think that's easier to work with than having these formulas listed here when you have to define what the inputs are for each of the formulas each time. So just out of curiosity though, what I want to do, so we see these are the brackets in 2024. We've got 4.4%, 4.82%, and 5.7%. Let's look at 2025. Oh, they've presented it a little bit differently here. Wow. I think those are just examples that they have. So for 2025, where is it? Are we going, is it start in 2025? All I see is one tax rate here. It says 3.8%. Let's find out, shall we? All right, so 2025, starting in January. I did not know that. I thought it was going to take longer than that. we are decreasing to a flat rate of 3.8% starting in 2025. So that will make the calculation a bit easier, although you'll still have those allowances, and we've got to do the calculation to arrive at what that taxable income is, or that tentative income, before we can apply the tax rate. But it will be just a flat tax rate of 3.8%, whereas in 2024, I didn't pull it up again. It was 3 tax rates. So it has been compressed down. It was supposed to take longer than that, but I think they accelerated it. Let's see. Just kind of a reminder, the W-2 form, remember we've got that information, the state information is at the bottom of the W-2 form. Well, I don't want W-2. Oh, we probably don't have a 2024 one out yet. So just kind of as a reminder, here's what a W-2 looks like. All of that information at the state level goes here. We have IA, and then if the employer has a separate state ID number, which they probably do if they've got withholding, they're gonna have a separate state ID number in Iowa. State wages, state income tax. We don't have any local wages. We don't have any local income tax, so none of this would be filled out for Iowa. Okay? Again, this is all just kind of FYI to familiarize yourself, just to give you an introduction. Quarterly reports, so Iowa does have quarterly reports. Let me see if I can find one here. For reporting and paying, okay, quarterly. They have the forms on here. Whoops. Quarterly tax return. All right, so here's what an Iowa quarterly tax return would look like. So this is like the equivalent of the 941. Again, deposits may need to be made more frequently, right? Not paid at the quarter, but may need to be paid on a more frequent basis. But this is what the Iowa equivalent of the 941 would look like. Iowa also has different due dates. Usually Iowa's due dates are at the end of the month following the quarter, not in the middle of the month following the quarter. Although the 941 is at the end of the month, but oftentimes, like with other income tax forms at the federal level, they're due like April 15th, right? Iowa's is not April 15th, it's April 30th. It's the last day of the month. So these would also be due at the end of the month, but all of that information, what is the form 44/095B? This is it looks like a relatively new form. Are you familiar with these? Have you worked with the withholding? Or are you just do income tax?
I haven't worked much with the Iowa side.
Mm-hmm.
I've mainly been, when I am preparing, it's usually federal stuff.
Federal? Okay.
The
Gotcha.
most I've touched with Iowa is like K1s, but
Gotcha.
those are.
So it just, this form looks different than it did, and I noticed it's got an October 31st, 2023, so it's obviously been updated, and I wouldn't be surprised if it gets updated again, seeing as we're moving to the flat tax. So the Iowa equivalent of the 941 form.
CERT carries most of that for me.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Any questions? I know that was just very rough. Let's see here. Now, there was one thing I wanted to talk to you about that I don't think I discussed yet in the